Do you want to tell this?
You
Okay,
go
so
first.
all right, so this business being 2.0, the history of it is, well, you can't really tell the history of this place without the history of the other place. So the other place, CKO Kickboxing, a franchise where we do primarily cardio kickboxing. However, we offered some personal training, but the space is limited. We maybe have, 200, 300 square foot area. And we found that the demand for personal training was growing at a rapid rate and that we weren't able to keep up with it as far as space limitations. So had an opportunity to rent the space just adjacent, not adjacent, but in the same shopping center as CKO. So it made it just continuous for our members. There was no break for them. And 2.0 was birthed. It's primary personal training, but with the larger space, we are able to do semi-private training as well, and some group fitness. And so really kind of piggybacking on what we were already doing, just a bigger space.
Well, I think just to follow up on that, the other thing is it allows us to expand a little bit more on our general fitness philosophy. Cardio kickboxing is great, and it's a great cardio class, but we feel to be truly, to reach the best version of yourself, you need to pick up some heavy stuff every now and then. So that allowed us to get more complete, if you will.
So both of the businesses are organized as an LLC. For legal protection, one's in Garrett's name and one's in my name to try to create as much separation as possible. But the way that they're organized is we're still, I'm not a member, I don't think. It's weird when you get into all of the details as far as who is where and what now. From a day-to-day operation standpoint, we're both involved very heavily in the execution and the decision-making for both of the businesses. As far as structure, that seemed to be the most, the wisest choice for us when we talked to our lawyers, when we talked to our financial advisors, as far as how to be financially advantageous at the same time having the legal protection that we needed. So we decided on the LLC. In the future, we may change depending on how big the businesses grow or what direction we go in, or if we take on anybody else on our team. But I think right now we're going to keep it just in-house with the two of us. Well, short term's easier. I'm going to start there.
Well, short term, it's just to continue to grow and one of the things we tell our members is try to get better every day and do a little bit more every day. And so that's one of the things we definitely try to do here is just get better. And so, with this new gym, we're only about 6 months into it. So getting this gym up to a level where it becomes a little bit more self-sustaining and we don't have to worry about it as much. That's definitely the short-term goal, because we're definitely in the new stages of a brand new business here, where we're probably working way too many hours and doing all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely the short-term goal, is to get this thing more of a self, running machine, if you will, and not having to be here all the time.
And then long-term goal is piggybacks on the short-term goal, making that it's self-sufficient, limiting the hours that we're actually in the business, not doing much of the back office is kind of the reason, going back to the reason that we started doing this, and it was to help people. So as much as that we can get out of, doing payroll, doing employee reviews, doing all that kind of stuff, the management, the back office stuff, would love to be able to kind of outsource that or have somebody else do that for us, and then increase our internet presence is the second part of our long-term
Yeah, I think
goal.
just to follow up on that, the big thing with anybody opening a business, when you open a business, one of the things people tell you is you don't want to buy yourself a job. And if by that I mean, most of the time people open their own business to get out of the corporate world. But what ends up happening is you spend all this money and then you buy yourself an hour a week job, so 80 hours a week. So you end up spending your own money and working harder than you've ever worked before. And it kind of defeats the purpose. So the goal is to not fall into that trap, because a lot of small business owners fall into that trap. So it's removing ourselves, but still being involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we're not the cheapest gym, so A bad economy can definitely affect our business, and we find, especially in the fitness world, it's crazy. You take whatever the membership price is and add a zero to the end of it, because that's how people react when they see fitness memberships. I don't know why people will buy a $200 dollar pair of shoes, or they'll buy a handbag, or they'll buy anything, and they don't blink an eye. But to pay $80 a month, that might as well be $800, because that's how people act. They're like, oh my God, I've got bills to pay. How am I going to do it? So it's this fascinating thing where people freak out on the price of a gym membership. So, a down economy could definitely hurt us. So what we're trying to do is trying to change people's mindset, because like I said, we're in a materialistic world. Everybody has an iPhone, and they drive a car, and they got a flat screen TV, but God forbid they spend $80 a month to improve their health. I mean, that's where they draw the line.
So marketing, I think that both businesses live and die by referrals. Really creating a community that makes people want to go out and be our advertisement for us. That being said, we've dabbled in some traditional advertising, such as direct mailers, some print, some flyer advertising, and then as well as Facebook and Google AdWords and Twitter, and being active on social media. But primarily where we come from is that word of mouth. I think that it goes hand in hand with what our business strategy is, as far as having that results-based training here, and you're not going to get that from any type of flyer or social media. You're going to get that from your friends and your family. So as far as 2.0, our main competitors, I think the closest competitor would maybe be Superfit and Edmonds, possibly.
Yeah, well, I would say really any specialty gym,
Yeah.
any CrossFit gym, any small personal gym that really focuses on members and is more hands-on, those would be our competitors. So it could be anything. I mean, it could be a spin studio, it could be a boot camp studio, but who's not our competitors are the big box gyms. I mean, I think they are just in a different league of what we do.
And I think as far as what we do for differentiating ourselves is, Garrett and I have been at this fitness game for a long time. I think we're coming up on 2 decades of combined experience in the field, and we bring that to the gym. So what we do here is not random. There's absolute thought behind everything we do, the programming, who's lifting what, when they're lifting it, how much they're lifting it, and I think that's what we bring in. A lot of the new stuff that's coming up, fitness is becoming more popular, people are doing it more often and whatnot, and it's trying to one up the next guy and have a sexier workout, something that's more exciting, more new, more flashy. And we recognize that just doesn't work, that there's some real science that goes behind lifting. There's also an art form to it, and I think we've been practicing it long enough that we know what works, and so that's what makes us different, is that experience that we bring. Yeah. Pricing strategy, the Small Business Administration has some great calculators as far as if you want to make this much, then you should charge this much, and you should plan on doing this many transactions. And I think that's a great place to start, and that's where we started. But I think more importantly, it's to know what the value is of what you're offering to your clients, and then sticking to it. You can do that by looking what competitors are, looking what other people in the country are doing. But I think a lot of times you just know, being in the industry for so long, we know what a personal training session's worth. We know what a small group training session's worth. We know what a group fitness training session's worth, and then we price it appropriately. So definitely our strategy is not to undercut the competition.
Yeah, well, I think it's, like you said, it's all about the value of what it's worth,
Mm-hmm.
and that plays a huge role on it. At the same time, we're trying to find, our pricing strategy is not sacrificing what it's worth, but at the same time trying to find a fair price for the member, so we don't break, they don't have to take out a second mortgage to be able to work out. But it's also not, we're not the cheapest gym. We're not a Planet Fitness where we're just cheap and hope everybody volume versus, so we're the quality over quantity approach.
I think what we would do if the economy went bad, I don't know if we would go in a situation that we would lower our prices, just because we don't necessarily go for the quantity. We would probably have to change our marketing strategy so that we sought out those people that were still unaffected by the economy drop. And I think one of the great things about being in Seattle, and maybe I'm taking a little bit too much stock in this, is that it seems that I don't want to say that we're resistant to a slow economy, but we still have those pockets that might not be as affected as much. So it would really change our marketing strategy where we were going for the more high-end clients, trying to upsell those clients and whatnot, spending that kind of effort opposed to necessarily dropping our budget.
Yeah, well, I also think it's just trying to educate people, because like I mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, while we're not the cheapest gym, we're not expensive in the scheme of things. I mean, if you take our membership and you divide it as a daily cost, it might come out to $2 to $3 a day. So it's the price of a coffee. So again, people like to act like they don't have as much money as they do, but coffee stands are always packed, or the malls. You go to the mall on the weekend and it is jam packed, and you look at the people and guess what they have in their hands? They have bags of stuff. They're not just walking around there for exercise. So people spend money all the time, but like I said earlier, it's just trying to educate people and saying, health is a priority. And, self-improvement is a priority. Your shoes, your clothes, your jewelry, that's all fake stuff. That doesn't matter. It doesn't make you a better person by the shoes or the bag you have. So that would be our biggest thing, would be trying to just educate people, because at the end of the day, we're $2 to $3 a day. So, you'd have to be on really, really hard times to not be able to afford that.
We have, so we kind of hit on it before, we do three main things here. We do personal training, semi-private or small group training, and then large format group training, your traditional group training. And so personal training is exactly what it sounds. It's one-on-one. It's an agreement between the trainer and the client, and those prices are worked out between those two individuals. So we give our employees a lot of flexibility. We put a lot of trust, a lot of responsibility, and a lot of authority in them, and they get to set their own prices, do their own marketing, recruit their own clients. From there, we have the semi-private, the small group training. That's one trainer and 4 clients, and that's set up that folks can enjoy that for an unlimited amount for $100 a month. So really, really great value for them. They also get, with the small group, they get the group training as well. Those are larger format classes, can accommodate up to 20 people. And if somebody only wanted to do that, they weren't interested in the semi-private, in the heavier lifting, they could get that for $75. And then lastly, we have a yoga pass for $30 a month. So 3 different levels, always drop-ins for those people that are kind of afraid to commit it, afraid to try it. But yeah, pretty simple, straightforward, budgetable type stuff, so you know exactly what you're getting to each month. But we found the reoccurring memberships from our success with CKO are the best way to do it, because people are usually pretty hesitant to sign up for things, but once they get into the habit of having that come out of their account, it's good for them, and it's good for us, because we can plan, all right, what's next month going to look like? What's the following month going to look like? What are our goals for the month as far as new acquisitions? What's our typical attrition rate, and how do we kind of fill those gaps? And if we have a month or a trend where we're off, maybe that alerts us that we need to up the marketing, whether that's getting out in the community doing flyer drops, whether that's offering a referral program or whatnot. But understanding the numbers has been really advantageous for us. It was something that we didn't really understand when we first opened the business. Sure, you can look like, I've got this many members, I've got this much attrition, I'm bringing this many dollars in, but to truly understand the trends and how that relates back to maybe a marketing campaign, an advertisement campaign, or something that you did in the gym, I think is huge. And while that's not my favorite part of the business, because the reason that we started it was to help people, it is kind of fun, because I have a background in engineering, and it's neat to kind of see the numbers. And so that's one of those things where, if you don't want to do that directly as a business owner, you need to definitely track. You should know your numbers.
I was just going to say, recurring billing is good for us, and at the same time, we also think it's good for the clients and the customer, because one of the things that is good, because, you know, we did this, as Jessica said numerous times, we did this to help people and to improve their lives. And if we can't do that, then we're failing the customer. And so the good thing about a recurring billing is not only does it help us track or predict some of our numbers, but we find for the customer, they get to kind of forget about it. Once a few months have gone by and it's just part of, they've worked it into their budget, they don't have to think about it anymore. Because as I mentioned, you know, numerous times in this interview, that people, whatever reason, they put an extra zero on their fitness cost. And so we're trying to, so the worst thing we can do in a business like this is talk about money. Because as soon as you do that, that's the person who walks through the door that has 100 pounds to lose, that's got all these health markers, like they've got diabetes, they're at risk for heart disease. As soon as dollars come up, that's all they care about, and they automatically forget about why they walk through the door. So, you know, that's one of our kind of billing strategies, is to get you in, and then once you get going is to have you forget about it and no longer think about what you're paying, so you can just, all you know is you've got a membership and the doors are open, and that's all you got to do then is worry about getting here and not worrying about how much it's costing you, because that is the biggest thing to kill your fitness drive, is to start putting a price on your health and your fitness.
Is they're all regionally set.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all regionally set. It's all based on the demographics where the different CKOs are at, because there's different CKOs that couldn't ask that based on the demographics that they're in. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that have followed us or taken their workout to the next level by coming over here and adding that on. I think they recognize that you know, we're not just blowing smoke up their skirt, for lack of a better word. You know, the reason that we're doing this is not. I mean, it really came out of service to the community that we are surrounded by. You know, it's not because it was another opportunity to make money, because if it was, we would have stuck with CKO, you know, to be honest. And so because we're doing this out of wanting to help other people recognize that and take advantage of it.
Well, I think kind of what I mentioned earlier is you need to have, one, you just got to do it. I mean, because I think everybody wants to open a business. I don't know if there's anyone, or everyone always talks about it, but they always wait for the timing to be right, or they wait for this or they wait for that. So one, you just got to do it, and you got to kind of make it up as you go. And then I think is having that exit strategy, if you will, and saying, like, don't take on the mindset that I'm the only person on the planet that can do this job, and you have to delegate, and you have to start trusting people, and you have to find that exit strategy, because I think that's what kills most small business owners is, I mean, we both worked very hard in our entire lives, and we probably never worked harder than we have opening businesses. I mean, there's no such thing as a weekend. So I'm from New Mexico. That's where my family's at. I haven't been back there in 3 years. I haven't seen my family in 3 years. So it's the grind is real, but you know, we don't want to keep that up. It's that short-term grind for hopefully, you know, years of a better life. But I feel like you have to find, you know, maybe you have to set up like, okay, I'm going to grind for 5 years. That's what I'm going to do. And then within those 5 years, my goal is to get managers in place, get the business running, and then I can step back. But you've got to remove yourself out of that trap, or you'll be stuck there forever.
Yeah, I think the biggest advice that I would give is there's a quote, burn the boats, or a saying, burn the boats. Don't have a plan B. you only have one plan. Plan B is your failure plan. And so get rid of it if you want to be successful, and put everything you have, all your effort, all your money, all your resources into being successful, and make that your only choice, your only option. I think that's the only true way to be successful in business. And, just go for it. And then other thing too is, one, you have to do something you like. If you're doing it for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And if you don't have a good product, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So, do a little bit of beta testing, do a little bit of feeling out the market, but once you make the decision to go all in.
Yeah, I think that's just to follow. I think that's a good point of you gotta have some sort of love in what you do. I think if you just do it for a good investment, that's going to be hard when you're getting into, year 3 of long weeks. If you don't love it, that's going to be really hard to keep that up.